Brenda Quintana coming to you from the Beehive at cubiesquest.com. Today I'm going to show you how to make these gatefold cards using the Bouquet Blooms Bundle. This bundle has two things in it, the Bouquet Blooms stamp set and the Gatefold Blossoms framelits. When you buy these together as a bundle, you can save 10%. So this is the card that was a sample card in the catalog, and I recreated it so that I could make sure that I showed you this side fold. Basically, the card opens like this, and if you want, you can stamp something on the inside, but it's this leaf right here that hooks with this flower that creates that gatefold closure. Isn't that cool? So I decided I'd do a few different samples, and so the first two samples I came up with also uses the Animal Outings bundle, and I thought it would be fun just to change it up a little bit from the flowers. So I'm using some animals in these ones, and I'll show you how to make this card. It has the opening in the same spot as the first card I showed you. And then I thought it would also be cool to show you a card that has a center split to it, and it has the same type of gatefold closure. It's just that now it opens on the center instead of on the side. So let's get started, and I'll show you how to make both of these cards. So to get started, you're going to need your Simply Scored scoring board, and I found for both of these cards it's best to do the scoring first and then the die cutting second. So to make the side closure card, you're going to need a piece of cardstock, and I have soft seafoam cardstock here. I've cut my piece to 10.5 inches by 5.5 inches, and I'm going to put one of the long sides up at the top of the scoring board. I'm going to score at the 2.5 inch mark and the 6 3/4 inch mark. Then you're going to need your Big Shot, and I have my magnetic platform here, and I've got one cutting plate down. On the piece of cardstock that I just scored, I'm going to look for the shortest segment, which was over on this side of the scoring board, and I want this now to be the first segment to go through the Big Shot. So I'm just going to put that down right here. Then you're going to need your Gatefold Blossoms framelits, and I'm going to take this piece right here, and I'm going to line up the top of this piece with the edge of my cardstock and the other part of my cardstock with the inside of this piece. I'll set it up and then I'll hold it up to the camera. So the main thing that you're going to watch out for is that the top of this boxy piece is right along the edge of the cardstock, and then your cardstock here on the side is going to be just inside of this piece that comes down here. Then once that looks good, you're going to put it in your Big Shot, and you're going to put your second cutting plate on top of it, and then you'll run it through the Big Shot. Remove the cutting plate and remove the die, and you'll notice it doesn't cut all the way right to the edge. That's okay, we'll deal with that later. I'm just going to slide this through the Big Shot and keep the side where it was, and I'm just going to slide this down so that the end of this piece can now be die cut. Now I'm going to take this piece from the Gatefold Blossoms framelits. It has the little leaves on it. And again, I'm going to line up the boxy end up with the edge of my cardstock, and then this piece right here is just going to line up with the side. So you can see a close-up here. Here's the boxy piece on the edge, and my cardstock is just to the inside of this metal piece. Then I'm going to place this carefully on my Big Shot and take my second cutting plate, put it on top, and now we're going to run this through. So this is what it looks like. Now we just need to cut off these pieces. So you can do that on your trimmer, or you can just take a ruler and a pencil and just extend this line to the edge on both sides. And then you'll have something for your scissors to cut along, and you'll know that your line is straight. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm just going to cut along that line I just made. And I'm going to come over here and just cut along this line like that. So there's two ways that this card can be folded. If you fold it down, these pieces will come together on one side, and if you fold it in, they'll come together on the different side. So you can play around with it. I'm going to fold it in like this and see how this one comes together. And I'm making the giraffe card, so this is the correct way that I want the giraffes on this side with this bigger piece coming down. If you wanted this leaf to come down on the other side, then you just need to bend this the other way and fold it around like this, and then the leaves will come down on the other side and it will hook in like that. But I want it the first side, and so I'm just going to take my bone folder and I'm just going to smooth down that fold. And make sure it's nice and flat. Now we need to do some stamping to decorate this card. I'm going to take a piece of So Saffron cardstock and my So Saffron ink pad. I'm going to take this bold flower stamp, and this is the piece that sits right over top of the gatefold. I'm going to ink this up and stamp it down. Then I'm going to need my Cajun Craze Ink Pad. And I'm going to stamp the giraffe from the Animal Outings stamp set in Cajun Craze. For my card, you'll actually need 2 giraffes, but to save time, I've already cut one of those. So then you're going to need your Big Shot again, and I'm just going to put the piece I stamped on my Big Shot. I'm going to need this framelit from the Gatefold Blossoms framelits, and I'm going to need the giraffe from the Animal Friends thinlits. Just going to place that around, and once you have those centered, you're going to go ahead and cut them. To finish off the spots on the giraffe, you're going to use your Cajun Craze ink pad, and I've just created a pool of the Cajun Craze by squeezing down on my lid. And I'm just going to grab some Cajun Craze with my aqua painter and come in and just finish off those spots with the tip of my aqua painter. So I've already created a second giraffe, and now I need to bring in my card base. So we're going to have to truncate these giraffes a little bit. So for the first one, I'm going to come and I'm just going to cut the bottom off straight and make this giraffe as long as possible, but with a straight bottom. And then for the other one, I'm just going to come in and cut this one right about here. It's about 1/2 inch in. Then I'm just going to come here and just going to kind of arrange my giraffes on my card base. And once I like how they look, I'm going to glue them down. And then I want to be able to stamp some leaves around the flower, but I need to know where to stamp them. So I'm going to take the flower and I'm just going to lay it on top of where it's supposed to go. It should line up right with the petals on this upper part. And for the top part, I need to know that the leaf starts here, so I'm going to go in between the petals and make myself a little pencil mark. And then down here, I'm also going to make myself some little pencil marks in between the petals, and that's where I'm going to know where to start the leaves. So now I can remove my flower, and I need my shaded Spruce Ink Pad. And I need this little leaf stamp. I'm going to ink this up and stamp this kind of so that the base of this leaf is right starting at that pencil mark. And come down here and put that one right there. Now I'm going to have to open up my card in order to stamp these other ones. So for this one, I'm going to ink it up right here. And I'm going to stamp it a little bit towards the side, and this one right here. And because when this is open, this is going to look a little unfinished right here, I'm going to stamp one more coming down the center. So you might need to protect your work surface because you might come off a little bit. So I'm just going to ink it up one more time, and I'm going to go kind of in between these two to create one more leaf that kind of just connects right there. So that makes it look a little bit more like a branch. And I'm just going to connect this up one more time. I'm going to bring in my Cajun Craze Ink Pad. I'm just going to ink up the friend stamp, and I want to stamp it right next to the leaves, right about there. Then I'm going to come in with my flower and just put some Tombow on the back of it. And then I can just bring this in. It's probably easier to open it up to do this. I'll just bring it in and line it up with those top petals. Make sure it's positioned perfectly over top like that. And you can go ahead and close it one more time. And then I'm just going to take some pearl jewels, pick them up with my paper piercing tool, and add them to the flower like that. And that is how you make the giraffe card, and you make the rhino card really similarly. You just fold it in the opposite direction like I showed you earlier, and I just stamped the rhino on Whisper White using basic gray ink pad, and then I colored him in with smoky slate and crushed curry for the bird. And then I did everything else the same, just in reverse, because I have this leaf coming this way on the rhino card and this leaf coming this way on the giraffe card. Now let me show you the last card. Now we're going to make the card that closes in the center. So you'll need your simply scored scoring board again, and you're going to need another piece of cardstock. I have soft seafoam cardstock again, and I've cut it to the same measurements again. It is 10.5 inches by 5.5 inches, and I'll put one of the long sides up at the top. The difference with this card is the scoring measurements will be different. I'm going to score at the 3 1/8 inch mark and the 7 3/8 inch mark. You'll need your big shot again. I've already got my magnetic platform down with one of the cutting plates down. And this time it doesn't matter which side of the cardstock goes through first, because this card is going to be symmetrical. You're going to need the die with the little flower on it first, and I'm cutting it the same way I did my first card, lining up the box with the edge, and the cardstock goes to the inside of this metal piece on the side. Then I'm going to run this through the Big Shot. Remove this piece. Again, it doesn't cut all the way. I'm going to slide this piece through, and now we're going to cut on the opposite side, making sure my box lines up with the edge of the cardstock, and the cardstock edge right here is to the inside of this arm that comes down. Then I'm going to take my second cutting plate and place it on top and run it through. Then to cut it, I'm going to again do my little pencil trick. I'm going to fold this piece along the score lines. Use a bone folder to smooth down those folds. And this time, this piece is going to come and tuck in like this. I'm going to want to cover up these leaves right here with a darker green, so I'm going to bring in my Big Shot one more time. I have a scrap piece of shaded spruce cardstock that measures 4 inches by 1.5 inches. I'll just place this on my cutting plate, and I'm going to bring in this die again, and I want to make sure that all the leaves will be on the shaded spruce. I'm going to make sure this end piece is on the shaded spruce and also this box piece over here. And then I'm going to run this through. And here are my little leaf pieces. So I can remove this outer piece. And now I'm just going to come in and I'm just going to cut with my scissors to just remove this piece from the shaded spruce. And this one right here, I'm just going to cut along what's the edge of the leaf here. And I'm going to just cut this straight along the edge right here. So you're going to bring your card back in, and I just realized that I have my card built a little bit differently. So again, I need to unattach this, and I'm going to fold it in the opposite direction so that my big leaf is up at the top and my flower comes in from the right side. So you may need to readjust your piece just depending on how you folded it. So let me come in with the bone folder here and the bone folder here. So now you're just going to take your pieces and align them up with the leaves on the edge and make sure that they're the right way around. I can just take them once I know which side is the right side and which side's the wrong side. Just gonna take my Tombow and put some glue on there, and I'm going to line this up right on top of those little leaves just to cover it up. And I'll do the same thing for this little one. And then just add that. So now on this left side, I want to add a piece of Designer Series paper, and I've got a piece of the Tropical Escape Designer Series paper cut. I've cut this piece to 2 1/8 inches by 5.5 inches, and I'm going to use some SNAIL adhesive to attach that to my card. So just put SNAIL in each of those 4 corners. And I'm just going to line this up with the edge and then smooth it down once you've got it lined up. Then down on this bottom corner here, I want to stamp a greeting. So I'm going to take my shaded Spruce Ink Pad, open it up, and I'm going to stamp Happy For You down in the bottom right hand corner. Make sure it's straight. And then stamp down. Next, I've taken a Pearlized Doily and I've cut it in half. I'm just going to use a little bit of Tombow, kind of strategically placed on some of the thicker parts of the doily, and a little bit along the edge. And then I'm going to line this doily up with the edge of the cardstock. Then I've already stamped some flowers from the Bouquet Blooms stamp set. This bold flower was stamped with Highland Heather on Highland Heather cardstock, and these 2 roses were stamped in Melon Mambo ink on Melon Mambo cardstock. So first I'm going to take my Highland Heather flower, and I'm just going to add some Tombow, especially to one side. I'm going to leave this one side a little bit open so I can tuck the roses in there. But this glued side is going to come right over top of this edge piece because I want to make sure that I get this lined up really well. Then the best thing to do for these roses is I want to close up my card real quick. And that way I will be able to see exactly where to glue my roses. So I'll just take one of the roses and put some Tombow on the back of it. And then I'll be able to slide one of them in here. I'll take my second rose and I'll slide it down right underneath there like that. Then again, I'm going to take some pearls. These just work wonderfully for the flower centers. Then I need to open up my card one more time. And I'm going to take some of this dotted tulle ribbon. Just going to measure enough so that I can come around and tie it. Take a peek on the inside, make sure I've laid that down straight. And then you just need to close the card, and I just kind of twist the card a little bit to get the closure, and then it locks in there right with the flower like that. Isn't that just adorable? So there's the two cards. You've got the one that's towards one side, and then you have the one that is in the middle. And you could do this one like this on this side, and you could do this one in the middle like this as well. It just depends on the look that you want to have. All the supplies you'll need to make these beautiful gatefold cards are available for purchase on my blog. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Bye for now. If you like this tutorial, be sure to check out all the free with purchase tutorials available on my blog. The Hershey's Frog is just one of the exclusive tutorials that you can choose free with a minimum purchase in my Stampin' Up! Store. Hi, it's Brenda again. Before you go, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can also visit my blog for more information on my projects and to learn about my rewards program, or just watch another one of my videos. Thanks for watching.